I've had quite a few clients go from 0 to 100K a month in kind of under that 2 year mark. So, what I wanted to do in today's video is kind of show you 10 of the most important things that you're going to need to hit that level. And I've got a screen share to pull up. So, I've got a great video planned today. I'm going to go over every single step, and I think the last couple are the best ones. So, straight into it, some examples. So, we've got Jake, 15K a month to 100K a month in 7 months. We've got Matt, my business partner, gone from 0 to 900K a month in 12 months. That's not bad. He's pretty good. We've got Oscar, who hit $1 million a year in run rate after pretty much almost quitting. That was a good one. We've got Max, who doubled his business in 79 days. I think he's doing really well at the moment. Angus, 6K a month to 60K a month in 6 months. What else we got? We've got some more examples here of people just winning. So that's kind of just to show you that it's not like a joke. So pretty much what these are insights from the top of the agency market. So what I want you to see this video as is almost like a behind the scenes look into what the best people in the industry are doing. So this isn't really a typical, send 100 outreaches style advice that's built to get you from 0 to 10K a month. This is more of something that you're going to get some high level insights that you can go and implement right away. So if you're a beginner, yes, is this going to be beneficial? But it's specifically built for people that are already running a business and doing so to a high level. So pretty much what you can expect is a mix of the classic sort of hippy dippy style stuff that you need to solve yourself and the raw tactics that kind of just work. So it's going to include a bit of stuff that's working at the moment, like examples of specific types of offers, specific outreach tactics, etc. But it's also going to include those mindset pieces that like I said, some people do consider them hippy dippy. Some people do consider them a bit wonky donkey. But they are really important at times, especially if that's the block that you're hitting, if that's the thing preventing you from getting results, then it is really important to crack into those things. So sometimes what I like to say is you wouldn't use a hammer to try and repair a hole in the wall, and we need to use different tools for different solutions. So basically what that means is sometimes you need to do the hippy dippy stuff to help you with where you're at. So if you're getting to the desk every day and you can't focus and you don't know what you're doing with your life, that's probably one of those things where you have to go and tap into that. Whereas if sometimes your cold email deliverability is cooked, then you have to do a different tactic for that. So we're going to cover both of those in this video. And my goal is that by the end of this, you have at least one actionable step that you can take and implement within 24 hours that will make you more money, that will help you unlock a bottleneck, and will hopefully make your dad more proud of you. But let's just go straight into the full offer suite. So this is number one. So when you run ads or cold outreach, which are both 100% necessary to grow your business, 99% of the people are just not going to be in a perfect position to buy your offer. That's just the case. It's just not what happens where people are just like, yeah, I want to buy a recurring offer. And the reason for that is because getting a recurring offer is the exact same thing as hiring for a job role. If you think about it, when do you hire for a job role? It's when you need that role filled. You go ahead and say, well, I need a copywriter because my emails are underperforming. Okay, I'm going to go find a copywriter. I'm going to post a job post. I'm going to interview 10 to 20 to 30, 40, 50 people. And then I'm going to pick someone from those. When you reach out to someone or you run an ad, it's not really as if they're in that position of, holy shit, I have a constraint. I need to hire someone. It's very rare that that happens when you reach out to someone. Sometimes you do. Sometimes you hit someone up with a cold email and they're like, oh, wow, I was looking to buy from someone. But it's not that often. So what you need to know is when you add a full offer suite that people can buy, things that people can buy when they're not in that number one moment of conversion, that is when you really start to do well. So the fundamental belief that you have to have is that people only buy recurring offers when they see fit. So if you continually get ghosted on sales calls, if you go through the whole sales process and they seem like they're interested, there's no reason they wouldn't buy. It's just that the timing was off or that something small was off about it, and then they kind of just never get back to you. That's because they probably didn't see it as the absolute perfect time to sign up for 3K a month or 5K a month or whatever it may be. And for that reason, that is why you have those, you get ghosted so bad, and then your sales attempts and your marketing stuff just gets slashed because you can't offer something to the 99% of people who aren't looking to buy a recurring offer. So what does that mean? That might be content, that might be lead magnets, that might be digital products, it might be consulting, it might be intro offers, etc., etc. And that doesn't just mean having something for people that aren't qualified. That also means there's people that are qualified. There might be your absolute perfect customer, but they just don't have that bandwidth for that role. They just don't have that problem at that moment. So maybe they're just going to consume your content about other stuff. So for example, someone like Matthew Larson, my business partner, you might not be needing to 10x your lead gen right now, but you still might read his lead magnets and watch his content specifically about operations or about focus or about these other things. And then you can get essentially upsold to whatever he's selling at that moment when it's time for you to buy that thing. But if you didn't have that, essentially what is a low ticket or a free product in the form of content and lead magnets, you're just never converting because you're not even going to know who he is, and you're not going to have that trust built up when it is time to convert for those higher ticket offers. So when you build out your offer suite properly, if you're doing this for the first time, you unlock untapped revenue basically immediately. So you can see here, like net profit going up into hundreds of thousands when you have those multiple lead magnets, those multi-marketing channels, those multiple conversion mechanisms, and then optimizing those things down to the 1%. It really, really works. So for example, Colin closing 3 done for you clients in the last 2 days, also hit a $97 trial. Muhammad ripping 3-month project for 12.5K. Thor hitting 2 recurring clients and 1 one-time client just in that 1 day. And the reason for that is because there's so many people usually in your pipeline when you don't have a full offer suite that you can go back and you can say, hey, I know it wasn't the right timing for you to hire someone to do full email marketing setup for you or full email marketing campaign management for you. Do you need a setup? We can just set it up one time. We can guarantee it's going to work better for you. And then you can go from there. Or you can say, hey, I know it wasn't the right time for you to buy a recurring offer. Or I know it wasn't the right time for you to sign up for Facebook ads done for you, but you can check out what's working right now in this YouTube video I made because this is basically what you can do to get the 80-20. And all of a sudden they start engaging with you, they start trusting you. Then when they eventually do need to make that hire, you're the one that they go to. Next up, this is kind of the same thing, but the thing that's working right now is really not promoting a recurring offer. So when you think about it, if you think about a no-brainer offer, they're not really built to be around recurring offers. So I see a lot of people in the market right now saying, hey, I'm going to make you 100K using, this XYZ strategy in the next 90 days. That's just way too big of a claim. Like no one is ever going to believe that. They don't really believe usually like any sort of monetary based claim, unless you have a really sick track record, it doesn't really attract the right customers. There's too much risk involved. So what they're thinking, how much money do I have to put up? How do I know it's going to work? How likely is it that I get my money back if it doesn't work? When have you ever done this before in your life? And this is the biggest thing is, what if you run my ads and they flop for 90 days and then I go bankrupt because I don't have the bankroll to afford that? What happens then? So even when you make these massive claims like, hey, I'm going to make you 100K in 90 days, a lot of times the problem is that you're not taking into account all of the other types of risk that can go into that. So if you are taking over someone's ad account, not only is that going to be most likely their best acquisition channel that they're not going to have access to controlling because you're taking over it, but if that messes up and it is their main acquisition channel, they probably can't afford to have that fuck up for an extended period of time because they literally will go bankrupt. So if you're going into this promoting your recurring offer and you're not aware of all of the potential things that can go wrong and focusing on reducing that type of risk, you're absolutely screwed. But when you promote an intro offer instead, what it does is it actually enables you to create an offer that has very little risk inherently versus making a massive offer on your recurring offer that you then have to work so hard to put a guarantee on and work so hard to reduce the risk of versus just using an intro offer that is just inherently lower risk. It's like, what do you think is going to work more in a market that has no trust? Probably the thing that is just an inherently lower risk to get started with. Then what happens is that makes it much easier to get leads, much easier for people to take a step towards you. And then obviously if more people are taking a step towards you, they're going to close more anyway, but your close rates go up a lot with this as well. Next up, I'll give you some examples. So for example, an audit, this is working really well right now. You can go into a client's account and find stuff that you can improve in their business for free. If you have a good track record, so if you've worked with a lot of big companies, you've got a lot of great results, you can charge $500 to $1,500 for this as an intro offer. You can say, I'm going to charge you money to look at your stuff and I'm going to give you X amount of value in return. Hey, if I don't find anything, I'll refund you and I'll tell you, you go full speed ahead. What you're doing is working. That is actually a good value proposition that is underrated. You can run ads to that. Wouldn't do as much outbound for that, but I would also think about content for that too. Digital products work as well. So you can sell templates, checklists, courses that can get quick wins. Again, this is something that can sell to 99% of the market. Same as the audit almost. The audit will be more so for the most qualified people. So if you're one of those, if you're in a situation where you have a big agency already and you don't really want to sell to anyone unqualified, I don't think that's the best idea. But if you do want to pursue that route, the audit will typically generate a very qualified and interested buyer, but it will still access people that aren't necessarily in their buying window. Because if you think about it, you can get an audit at any time. You don't need to, gear up for an audit. You don't need to get an audit at the exact perfect time. You could get an audit at any point. And if you charge for it and you get a result, you're pretty happy. So all you're doing is you're kind of using that payment to liquidate your marketing costs to get the lead. It's the exact same. So a lot of people think about a digital product and they think, well, this is a self-liquidating funnel, but you can do that with anything. You can do that with anything. You can liquidate your costs with literally anything. Affiliates, audits, intro offers, even MRI. Like you're still liquidating itself anyway. Like you don't necessarily have to use a low ticket product to do that, which is really what people think when they say like a self-liquidating funnel. They say, I'm going to spend money on ads and try and recoup some of that ad spend. They often talk about digital products, but like I said, you can do that with audits as well. Next one is free trial. So you can do a 30-day free trial, or you can give a couple of samples, or something like a free YouTube video, a free email campaign, or like a 30-day trial of ads, or you can give them some free creative, whatever it may be. That is probably one where it's basically a smaller version of the intro offer. Like it's a smaller version of the thing that you can offer to someone, just a little, try before you buy type thing. That works really well. So people really don't like doing that. It's one of those things you do when you're a beginner, but after you scale up, you kind of think that you don't need to do it anymore. But what it does is it really increases your sales velocity and the number of conversations that you have. And if you can't get anything else to work, I would usually recommend a free trial, because it's kind of like one of those last ditch effort things that you kind of just know is going to get you leads. And if you need to say you're going to give someone a free trial to get leads, and you need to do the free trial, you kind of just have to go in that direction, because you can either say, oh no, I'm too good to do free work, I don't want to do that. Or you can deliver a free trial, figure out the economics on the back end where, let's say I deliver 10 free trials, which cost me $500 each. So I'm spending $5K. And then let's say if I get 2 to 3 clients from that $5K in spend, and I know my LTV is going to be $15K plus each, or $10 to $15K plus each, I'm not that mad about spending $5K to do those free trials, because I've just generated $40K in LTV. So you're looking at the numbers of these things with the free trials and figuring out how much do I have to spend on labor to deliver this? How much do I have to spend to generate that lead who wants the free trial? And that becomes a part of your cost to acquire a customer. That becomes a part of your marketing spend. Then you measure that against your LTV and you see how it works. And that is really, really cheeky. That works great. Then, like I said, so one-time setups with a guarantee, 2 to 5K range, stuff like cold email setup, email flow setup, anything set up, anything one-time works really well. Because again, you don't necessarily need to be in the buying window for a recurring offer to get that. Because if you're guaranteeing, hey, I'm going to improve whatever you've got, or I'll just set it up the first time the right way. So let's say email marketing, hey, I can beat your flows, or hey, I'll set them up from zero. Either way, you're always going to want to, that's always an attractive offer no matter where you're at in the market. So it's really good to sell. And next, like a mid-ticket offer I like as well. So like a deliverability fix, a database reactivation, maybe some ad creatives, or something in that 500 to 1500 range. Usually I would say I like to stay out of that range, but just because of how low the trust is in the market at the moment, I think that is much more viable now than it would have been a couple of years ago. So I would look at that too. Really, all the point is with the intro offer is you're giving the prospect an opportunity to engage with your business with as little risk as possible, so you can build trust and ascend them. And then I want to add something here, regardless of their buying window. So it's really important that it's not a recurring offer. It's not like they're getting married to you. It's not like they're in that perfect time to buy, but you can still sell them. Like you can still get them interested in you. You can still get money from them. So you can then spend more on ads and spend more on your marketing without thinking, number one, that it doesn't work, and number two, that you're going to run out of money. That is why this is the absolute linchpin, aka the most important thing in the market right now, because the trust levels are so low, and literally 99% of people have been burned before. Like everyone that could have been sold an agency service, everyone that's qualified for an agency service, a lot of the time they've been sold an agency service before, or most people have bought something before. It's not 2014. It's not one of those things where you can just completely dominate a blue ocean market. Thanks to, all the goats like Tai Lopez and Iman. They kind of, sophisticated the space quite a bit. And the reason it's so important is because the offer you have on the front end, aka the thing you promote in your content, in your ads, in your emails, that is going to determine your lead flow. So how attractive that thing is, how good that bait is going to determine how many people say, hey, Leo, I want to talk to you. I want to hear more from you. And as you know, if you double your leads, you double your business. If you can get more conversations, if everything else stays the same, you're going to make more money. But the beauty of it is with the intro offer, not only do you get more leads, but you're also going to get a higher percentage of those leads to convert because it is lower risk. So if you think about it, realistically, a lot of agencies that sell their recurring offer without an intro offer, they're closing way below 20%. So they'll close like 5 to 10%. And the reason for that is usually timing, too much risk, etc. Not enough proof. How do I know it's going to work? Things of that nature. So imagine you got way more leads and your close rate got to a respectable level. You'd make a lot more money. And you're going to upsell a higher percentage of those people to your higher ticket offer than what you usually would have closed anyway. So usually you can sell 10 intro offers and you're probably going to sell between 2 and 5 recurring offers off the back of the intro offer. Versus what I'm saying is what people do is if they take 10 sales calls for a recurring offer, they might even just close 1. So imagine you could collect cash off 10 of them, all 10 of them, and then you can sell them the intro offer. It works crazy good. I swear I preach about this all the time, but it works so damn well that you absolutely have to do it. So for example, Angus collecting 15K of setups in the last 24 hours. Before 1000X, he would have DQ'd them. Milan, 17K of one-off projects last month. I think when he came in, that was like his monthly revenue. So he did that just off one-off projects, let alone no MRR, not even talking about the people that upsold off that. That was just off the one call, the one-off project, sorry. Then Will, 25 book calls at 23 quid for his intro offer, and about 60% are over 50K rev. So that's 46 quid per qualified intro offer, and he can probably still sell to all the people below that anyway. So like I said, it's so much more attractive and lower risk that you can book calls for like 20 quid, which is like nothing. And it's so sexy that they close better as well. So it's just one of those things that lifts the entire, it's like the rising tide that raises all the ships. Next up, we have content X paid ads. So right now, the channels that have generated the most wins for us and our clients is content and paid ads. That might be because we have a lot of experience here, but at the same time, we have seen automated cold email reduce inefficiency because of the deliverability stuff, which makes it harder to see results. So I talked about this with a lot of my clients. It's not that cold email is like dead. It's not that it's too hard. It's just that it's going to get lower in efficiency because you're going to have to focus more on deliverability. You're going to have to do all the right practices. You're probably going to have to buy more domains to get the same output as usual. So we still recommend cold email. It's just one of those things that's more difficult than before because of the platform update. It's just a bit more expensive and harder to see results with it. And because of that, we've seen that clients that are really pushing hard on paid ads and content have been dominating a lot more than people that really rely on cold email for their main acquisition channel. So if you think about it, why does it work so well? Number one, ads with an intro offer or a strong lead magnet are pretty straightforward to get leads for cheap if you have the right positioning and the right creative. So we use zero campaign targeting and use the creative as targeting, so it works really well. And then the main thing with the offer is that you reduce risk and avoid stuff that people always do. So for example, if you're saying, hey, agency owners and consultants, that's not really an ad strategy. Then the flow and effect of that is that your content ends up getting more traffic, and even clients averaging 50 views on their content, they still get clients telling them that they binge watch their channels. So when you run ads, people look you up, they engage with you, and they try and get a bit of background on you. They get a bit of background on you. And then you get people binge watching your channels that are highly, highly qualified prospects because you're talking about how to set up this niche cold email thing, how to fix this setting, how to ideate ads, how to do all these, random things that only a business owner could be interested in. And then when you run ads, you get a bit of traffic to that versus a lot of people when they don't run ads and they're trying to push just organic, they can really struggle to get traffic on and get views on these really niche topics. And that's kind of what causes them to go and do, really broad content that doesn't really get them clients. So they feel like they're getting views, they feel like they're progressing, but they end up not getting clients. So the solution to this is running paid ads and running content at the same time because it kind of gives you the best of both worlds. What is interesting is that it seems that business owners, like actual business owners, people that are quite successful, are usually starving for good info and assistance versus the typical finance influencer type content, like the type of thing where you see people say, how to set up this exact process versus, hey, here's 5 passive income AI investments, or like, here's this crazy new business opportunity. This sort of stuff, the 5 business opportunities and the 5 passive AI investments, they get a lot of views. They look really sexy. They do great. But when you're running a business and you're in the weeds of things, you'd much rather see this. So if you're trying to sell to these people, the business owners, you'd want to create this versus this because it's just a different strategy. You're going to get different people in the door. The exact same way that will use the creative to be the targeting in ads. The creative, or AKA the YouTube video, is going to be the targeting in organic. So we need to target our videos at specific people that are going to become our clients versus targeting our videos super broad and kind of just targeting any Tom, Dick, and Harry. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't ever go with broad targeting for organic, because obviously it's not an arbitrary, it's not a binary thing. It's not like, hey, you can only make one sort of video. What I would do is just focus more heavily on these sorts of videos than these, and then mix in some of the broader videos as you go. So as you can see, the combo makes each other way stronger. So paid ads and content working at the same time makes each other work better. So for example, if someone's seen your ad and then they look up your content, they're 10x more likely to book a call. Also, if someone watches your organic content and then sees your ad, it's again 10 times more likely that they're going to book a call. We've got guys that just retarget their own audience on Instagram with ads, and they just dominate pretty much. It's the ads, it's on easy mode pretty much. So using them both together is like steroids. So examples are 94 calls in a little over a month of 2K ad spend, 4 recurring clients since Monday, a lot of MRR, very easy, doubled MRR in the last 2 weeks, 36K invoiced off 5 sales calls, 10 sales calls a day, pretty good cost per lead, 80K record month, and $15 per call booked. That's what happens when you have a really juicy, low risk offer. Next thing that works really well at the moment is focusing on stuff that makes money and cutting stuff that doesn't. So I like to compare getting clients to MMA. So there's boxing, grappling, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, kickboxing, sambo, all these different skill sets. And the reality of the thing is that some people are better at different things and some niches are better suited to different game plans. So therefore, some people are always going to be better at content and they're always going to suck at outreach. So it's going to be really hard for them to get good at outreach, and really, maybe it's easy for them to get good at content, or the other way around, where you suck at content, maybe you're really good at outreach. But what that means is, instead of trying to force things that people tell you to do online, you should simply double down on the stuff that's working and focus less on the stuff that completely sucks. So you don't have to do X, Y, and Z just because someone said so. It's a good example. Like, UFC or MMA, if Khabib Nurmagomedov went out and tried to become Israel Adesanya and started trying to box people up and try to kickbox people, he'd probably be way worse than if he just stuck to his game plan, stuck to his guns, and then kind of forgot all the shit that doesn't work. So it's one of those things that's mixed in with, obviously it's hard when you're trying to go somewhere you've never been before, when you're trying to scale somewhere that you haven't scaled. And it's almost like you're trying to drive somewhere without a Google map. So it is scary, but you do have to trust your gut a little bit and think, you know what? I am way better at paid ads. And you know what? I am way better at content than I am at anything else. So maybe I'll just put all my time into the content, and maybe I'll get someone in to just do my paid ads for me. That's a much better decision than thinking, I'm wasting all this time doing this thing that doesn't work, and kind of just bashing your head against the wall doing something that's never going to work. And I say that being aware that you obviously need to allow time for things to work out. You don't just want to quit, but you do have to kind of know when to hold them and know when to fold them, type thing. Next, number 5, so YouTube for lead gen and nurture at the same time. So we talk about using lead magnets to get leads a lot, but in reality, every single YouTube video is another lead magnet. And then if someone wants to binge your channel and learn about every single topic you mentioned, that is the equivalent of them going as far down the funnel as they could possibly go. So watching 10 YouTube videos is the exact same thing, in my opinion, as reading 10 lead magnets, except it's actually lower friction because a lot of people go to YouTube anyway just to find stuff to watch. So when you're kind of trying to read a lead magnet, you have to find something, click a link, go through a PDF or whatever. But if it's YouTube, people are just naturally on there all the time. So much easier for them to consume. And we know if someone reads 10 lead magnets, they probably view us as, a bit of an authority. They probably like us a little bit. They probably understand that we're good at what we do. But it's the exact same thing as if they watch 10 YouTube videos, even if you're not getting that many views. So even if it's someone from ads that goes to your YouTube channel, that's still going to nurture them in a huge, huge way. And it's not worth, skipping because it's so effective. So if you want a quick YouTube framework, pause the video and take a screenshot here, and you can rip that and use that for your first 30 seconds of the content and then generating leads. Also, I've included some good B2B channel examples here. So this is the type of content that I know for a fact gets clients, and you're really only going to get a ton of views on very specific topics that appeal to a wide audience. But if you can get 1 to 5K in views on niche content, you are pretty much printing. So that's all you really need for this. So Matthew Larson's a great example. Posts a lot about agency stuff. Brian NG posts a lot about YouTube scripting. Max Sturdivant posts about email marketing. He's absolute killer at content. And Eric Nowoslowski talks about outbound prospecting. I've met Eric before, absolute legend, really, really good at the cold email stuff, particularly in terms of like AI stuff. But in my opinion, his best skill set is the content creation and the consistency of what he's been putting out, because it's just super valuable, and I'm sure he's absolutely printing. Next, rigorously focusing on improving. So this is one of the more mindset-based points, but it's still one of the most important. Like I said, might be hippy-dippy, but it's just true. It's really easy to coast through day-to-day. Fulfill for your client, do whatever you need to do, and never actually have any proper objectives. This is like one of those lulls that you can get into after you've made that 30, 50, 60K a month, and you kind of just get into that mode where you just, yeah, this is pretty cozy. This isn't bad at all. And then every now and then you kind of look back and you're like, holy shit, where did all that time go? And most of the time, it's just because you kind of you stop focusing and you kind of slipped into that autopilot mode where you're not really focusing and progressing and really putting your foot on the gas. And then the way you can solve this is just get really clear on what exactly you want and then ruthlessly attacking it. So it can be hard in these times where you kind of have to challenge yourself and challenge your purpose and push back and be like, why am I even doing this? What's the whole point of this? But once you get to the other side of that, you'll be more motivated than ever. You just have to get good at catching yourself when you're in those moments of like, holy shit, I didn't even realize the last week I wasn't that intentful, I wasn't that focused, I wasn't that purposeful. So once you catch yourself, you can revisit why you're doing this, revisit what the whole point is, and then get back on the horse the next week. Really big part of this is Kaizen. So Kaizen is an approach to creating continuous improvement based on the idea that small, ongoing, positive changes can reap significant gains. Basically just means getting 1% better. If you've ever read Atomic Habits or anything like that, talks about it a lot. What I'll do is I have this document that's all about standards and culture. I'll drop that in the description with no opt-in. And basically what that's going to run through is implementing Kaizen systems into your business, as well as building in personal and business standards as well, because one of the highest ROI things you could ever do. Next up, absorbing the up and downs. So death, taxes, and headaches popping up when you're scaling. You're never avoiding any of these three things. So a huge thing is having a negative association to failure is good when you're in school because you obviously don't want to fail. But it's deadly when you're running a business. So sometimes you kind of just need to let go of things. You just need to let go of things you learned so you can optimize for your chances now. And the reality is, if you're going to win, you cannot be afraid of a few bumps and bruises. One of my favorite quotes that I heard was, you can't control the waves, but you can learn to surf. But like you're gonna be guaranteed that things are gonna get rocky. So you can either learn how to kind of ride that wave and just be fine with it, or you can get fucking dumped every time there's a slight wave or there's a slight problem that pops up. That's a really good mindset to have. Next is in terms of surviving the falls, sometimes you just have to understand things are going to go wrong. Like your ads are going to stop working, you're going to churn clients, your domains are going to get absolutely cooked, your employees are going to leave, and then in the same week, your girlfriend's going to dump you and you're going to have some family issues. That's kind of just the way that life goes. It's not necessarily that bad things always come in threes, or you know, there's like a universe ordered or universe ordained cold streak. It just kind of is what it is. Like things just happen and sometimes you just get completely fucked, and that's just life. I think the reality is online, you really never see this. Like you're never going to see this online, and that's just the reality. Because even if you think about it, if I come on here complaining, or if anyone comes on here complaining, I'd be unfollowing them. I'm not on the internet to get complained to. That's not what social media is even for. However, that doesn't mean that the behind the scenes fuck ups and the behind the scenes hardships don't exist. So I've seen this firsthand myself. Basically everyone I know, they're not going online and saying this is the worst. Bad things are happening right now. This is not the vibe. But I have to be aware that it does happen. So when it happens to you, it's not one of those things where you go, holy shit, everyone else is doing better than me. It's one of those things that's like, oh, I'm existing, I'm running a business, I'm trying to do something that isn't really easy to do. So I'm just going to continue. And I mentioned that, like I said, because I have a lot of clients that come to me, they're on a losing streak, things are going bad, and they almost panic as if there's something fucking up so desperately badly or something so badly wrong that they need to make a drastic change because seemingly everyone else is dominating and they suck. That's kind of the mindset that I see a lot, especially below 100K a month. In reality, you're just getting what you signed up for. So if you want to get real with it, you're trying to make 100K a month in take-home profit in your 20s. That's a pretty monumental task for any regular person. So you kind of have to understand that things are going to be hard, and you have to understand it's a roller coaster. Bonus points when you decide, oh, the fact that it's such a fucking roller coaster is why I even like it in the first place. Sorry for swearing so much. I must have caught something today that's got me fired up. But I think the reality is like I said, people aren't coming online saying, damn, that was really hard. Like, and the only time they do that is when they're kind of trying to virtue signal and say, look how good I am for sharing my hardships online. I'm the best. I'm so relatable and personable. That's not the reality. You don't need to go online and cry about it. But what you do need to do is understand that, shit, if everyone's gone through hardships, this is an opportunity for me to get ahead. Because I know for a fact I'm not the only one that's like going through stress and going through hard times or training clients or whatever. Everyone has that. So you see it as an opportunity. All of a sudden you start winning, rather than kind of just lamenting and being sad that you suck, which you might, but you have a chance to get good. Next, you want to have the example routine of a winner. So this is slightly more practical. Every single morning or every single day, you must have 5 hours blocked off. If you can't block out 5 hours for X or Y reason, instead of just saying it's over, actually try and find a way to do it. And like, if that means, I've got to start at 3 hours and then work towards it, 3 is better than 0. And I get a lot of people saying, I'm too busy. I've got to take my kids to school. I've got to do X, Y, and Z. I've got to do this thing. Like, that's perfectly fine. I would never ever say, don't do that. I would never say completely uproot your life for, getting these 5 hours done at a certain time. But I'm sure that everyone has 5 hours a day if they're running a business. And if they don't, that is the stuff they need to focus on. So it's a really good rule of thumb. If you don't have 5 hours a day, you need to be thinking, shit, how do I work towards that? How do I figure out my tasks? How do I, get a goal for what I need to outsource in order to get this done? Because if you don't have 5 hours a day, you're pretty much committing to not growing. Like, it's just kind of the reality. Because if you're just sitting on sales calls doing fulfillment all day, that's a pretty good recipe to never ever grow, because you're going to rely on referrals and they're very unpredictable. It's just one of those things. Like, you can either get your 5 hours blocked, or you can work towards getting your 5 hours blocked, or you can just say, oh no, I can't time block. I'm a special snowflake that never has any time, and you can not grow. So it's really up to you. The next thing is like actually planning tasks. So it's interesting. I've talked to a lot of people on calls, and they just say like, yeah, I have no planning. I don't even know what's going on. I just don't do anything. And I'm like, holy shit, like, how does this work? Like, just zero concept of second and third order consequences. And really what that is, it's a really good way to run a low-level company that stays small forever. What you need is to create a plan and then stick to the plan. And then what you can say is, did that plan work? Okay, yes, the plan did work. If it didn't work, you're like, oh, shit, didn't work. New plan. And it's kind of like, there's not that much more thought that goes into it than that. Obviously, you've got your strategy and things of that nature. But if you don't have any plan, just making something up and then aiming at it is going to be 100 times better than doing nothing. Next up, number 9 is testing different things on the front end. So what does this actually mean? So basically, the main function of anything you send on a cold DM, an ad, a call, or an email is basically just to get someone to take one step towards you. So your goal is to turn a stranger into a not stranger so you can sell more expensive stuff and get your LTV up, your lifetime value of a customer up. This is the exact same way that if you're an e-com store, you're not gonna run ads to your worst selling products. You run ads to your best selling products, because that's gonna get the most strangers in at the cheapest prices. And then you can sell them the other stuff on the back end after they've already been introduced to your brand with your hottest seller. It's probably the same thing as in the NBA. Like, if you were going to a new country, like let's say the Team USA, they're going to Paris. Team USA is going to have LeBron up the front because he's the most famous. He's the sexiest thing for the new fans. So they're going to have him up the front and make the best first impression to the Team USA team. The problem with a business is that you don't know who your LeBron is. You don't know who your superstar is. So what you need to do is you need to test out, hey, what's my best thing that I can put at the front? Whose face do I need to put at the front? Which offer, which product, which service, or which lead magnet do I need to put at the front? Because the reality is, like I said, with the levels of trust that you see in the market, you need some really good bait for it to actually work. And here again, the next problem is that not only do you not know who your superstar is, you don't even know what your market is going to like. You don't even know what your niche is going to like. You don't know what's going to work for you specifically. So the example I use here is you have bait, and obviously if it's a lion, you just give them a steak. But not every market is a lion, and you don't know if they're going to bite either. It's more like everything is an exotic jungle, and every single animal wants different bait in different niches, different industries. So the result of that is that you need to test and figure out what works for your situation and attracts the best clients and has the best upsell rate. So I'll say that again. What is going to get the most leads? What is going to get you the best clients that spend the most money with you and get the best results with you? And what has the best upsell rate? So you could have an intro offer that you sell, a shit ton, but if it doesn't get you any upsells, it's not going to be nearly as good as an intro offer that you sell less of, but has a higher ascension rate to your higher ticket offers because it's going to have a bigger LTV. I hope that makes sense. DM me on Instagram if that didn't make sense. But I'll give you some examples. Hormozi. So he has free content, 100 mil books. He has a workshop. He has a consulting day. Then you become a portfolio company. An email marketing agency might have design templates on the front end. They might have a flow setup. They might have email list management. And then they might have advertorial funnels, which is like, cold funnels, cold traffic funnels. You might have an ad creative agency that has free content, ad templates, creative stacks, monthly ad creatives, and full ads management. And what I'm saying that you need to test here is the thing on the front end. So for example, the Hormozi books, he tested what he should call them by running polls to his audience. That works really well. If you're an email marketing agency, you need to figure out what's going to work better out of templates, what's going to work better out of, calendars and all the stuff that you could potentially sell on the front end or offer on the front end. Or is a flow setup going to work better? Or is list management going to work better? Sometimes it's easier to just go straight to book a call. Like that's the reality of it in different markets and different industries and for different companies with different levels of background and all these different things and how good you are at ads and everything just works differently for everyone. And you kind of have to understand that there's foundational weapons and foundational things and tools that you can like draw upon for your situation. And some people will be able to help you with that. But some people are going to just try and put you through like a cookie cutter process that has worked for them. And that's when you don't get results with like courses and coaching and all these things, when people try and take a cookie cutter approach because it scales better, or even with agencies, like they try and apply the same process to two different businesses. Doesn't always work that way. And then the last example is free content lead magnets, $97 product, $2,500 setup, MRR service, and then a higher ticket MRR service. So it's just different ways of doing it. Number 10 is not being afraid of advertising. So this is a really big one, but when you're trying to hit a 7-figure run rate, it's really easy to be in that scarcity mindset, or even get psyoped by people online that ads are expensive and really, really hard and things of that nature. That was kind of me when I started because I was used to just doing cold outreach. But in this scenario, you pretty much just need to turn on an ad campaign for $50 a day and then keep testing until it works, because you're kind of just paying your intuition in a way. You only really get an understanding once you've spent your own money on ads, and you realize that it's not that scary because you probably spend $50 a day on food and you kind of just light that on fire. Not to say that you shouldn't do that, but money's gonna get lit on fire anyway. You may as well try and get an ROI from it. Really good example of this is Oscar. So I was trying to convince Oscar to launch paid ads for about 1 year, and he'll be laughing if he's watching this video, but he never wanted to because he was like kind of procrastinating, had to fix his ops, had to do X, Y, and Z. But then he got to the point where he's like, fuck, I need leads. We need to run ads. And then he did it, and then he hit 83K a month 90 days later. I think he added like 40 or 50K MRR in that time frame. So it does work. It does work if you do it properly. Then bonus one I've got here is the habit of doing what you said you were going to do. I wrote an email to my email list that I mail every single day about this topic, but having a habit of just showing up the right way every single day is the biggest thing. Because I'm sure if you're watching my channel, it's not as if you're like it's kind of rare that complete beginners watch this channel. It's usually someone that understands the space a little bit. And if you understand the space, you're probably pretty qualified to get results, and you probably know roughly what you should do. It's just that you haven't either made a plan or you're struggling with execution. So you need to get into this habit of just doing what you said you were going to do and consistently executing, because it's kind of rare that people need that much more information. Probably gone through courses or coaching or whatever before. So that's just one thing you have to work on slowly and slowly and slowly. I think there is an archive of that on my newsletter somewhere. If you want like a full breakdown of that, just DM me and I'll send you the exact email. I'll forward it to you personally. But if you do want to sign up to that list, you also get a 195 plus page lead generation guide. So go to the acquisitionnewsletter.com. Got some bangers there. I literally email that list daily. It's like my life's purpose at this point. But that's pretty much everything I've got for you. Hopefully this was valuable. That was 10 things my clients are currently doing to make an extra 100K a month. So until next time.